Hello everyone, got a little special treat for you. We got a little crew here to answer some of your questions here. We've got so many questions here, but as I've been doing these videos the last few days, these questions are getting better and better, right to the point.
Yes.
There are serious cases out there. Some of you guys are in trouble, and I appreciate you confiding yourself in us because we can get you well. And so we want to continue to answer these questions. And so you, ladies first.
Ladies first, okay. This is from Phil Nichols. I love your videos. I'm 49, in pretty good shape, I guess. Not overweight or underweight, 6'3", 200 pounds. All my life I've been active, martial arts, weights, biking, etc. But now I do lots of sitting and no exercise. Tried light exercise, got joint pain in my foot and big toe. A walk-in clinic says I have gout, common with meat. However, I have not eaten meat in 15 years. No dairy in the last 3. It's been 10 days. How long does it last? Will it come back? And how can I prevent it? So, the first thing that sometimes I tell my clients, it may not be your kitchen, it may be your bathroom. For the simple fact that a lot of times you'll get people in. I've been a vegetarian for 24 years. I've been a vegan for 15 years. Why am I in this chair? Well, first of all, you can eat really bad still being a vegan or a vegetarian.
Oh, yeah.
Cooked foods and grains and all
Cheese.
that stuff. Cheese
sometimes is vegetarian to people. Even though it's an animal product.
Depends on how you term that. But acids aren't just a food issue. Acids can be an environment. It can be your emotional state. It can be depending on the toxins in the area, whether they're spraying. I talked to a lady 2 weeks ago, lives right next to a farmer that for 3 hours was spraying pesticides all around their house. So acids, I don't want to say acids, that's what it ends up being, but the toxins and stuff that back up and create the acidity in the body don't always have to just come from your foods. So you have to look at the environment outside the body just as much as you look at the environment or the terrain inside the body. First of all, gout is it's a buildup of acids. It's, acids are painful. They chew, they break down. Acids break down. I mean, think about it. If you're sprayed with acid, the first thing that you've got to do is get that off of your skin or it's going to start burning. And imagine what this acid does inside the body, especially in different pockets. I mean, weight training and exercise and running and some of the high endurance things you've been doing, that builds up lactic acid. And then if you become sedentary, well, first of all, let me go back. The lactic acid or the acids that are in the body, just because you're relatively healthy, meaning you're not seeing symptoms, you could have a great constitution. That doesn't necessarily mean health inside the body. We see that in eyes all the time. A lot of people, although cases are getting tougher and tougher coming in, a lot of people are saying things just like you. I want to get healthier. There's not a lot wrong, but I want to get healthier. And you take a look at their eyes and you start seeing areas that it's a good thing they came when they did, because it could mean trouble down the road. But the thing you have to go back to is your body's process of elimination. If your kidneys aren't filtering optimally, and I want to use that word optimal because I have people calling in all the time freaking out. I'm not seeing any sediment. I'm not filtering at all. Well, if you weren't filtering at all, you would be in kidney failure, number one. Number two, remember, your cells are microscopic. You cannot see them with the naked eye. So the debris or the poop from that cell, in order to see it in a flake or a sediment in a cup, that's a lot of debris that's backed up. And I was talking to someone today, you see cloudiness, that's a good thing too. That's just a finer, you're getting through some of that really plaqued, backed up lymphatic. But go after those kidneys. Get those kidneys opened up. Will it come back? How can I prevent it? Well, you can prevent it. You've already got it, so you need to get rid of it. It means you've got acid in the body, and you've got to balance that. I feel like I'm just doing all the talking here. Do you guys have any sense you want to
Oh, we're just letting you go.
Roll.
Well, we do. I do, because you're talking about uric acid. Okay, so uric acid is a little pinprick acid. That's a little gouty acid, right? So he's talking about it's generally associated with protein. So I remember years and years ago, I was at a blood chemistry seminar put on by a medical doctor she became a naturopath. But she bought a farm, she raised all her meat, but she was into blood chemistry, and I'm chemist, was interested in her take on this. And so I came up and asked, room full of medical doctors. So I went up and asked her, I said, listen, the same question, my friend. I said, how come I see gouty uric acid in people that are non-meat eaters? She looked at me and she said, fungus. So you got to realize that we're all full of candida. And candida, fungus, leaves uric acid as part of their activity. And that's why you have it. So you're fungus, so you have to do the same thing. And you only have fungus because of the adrenals and kidneys. It's back to the same thing you said.
Yeah. Well, plus, he hasn't eaten meat for 15 years, but he's 49 years old. So
But
you've got
he's full
30.
of fungus to have gout,
Yeah.
to have uric acid.
But you've also got he's equating it with, or they are, with meat, and it, meat can be a big thing. Just because you haven't had it for 15 years doesn't mean that there wasn't damage from the meat that he ate the years before.
Yours? You want to do yours?
Sure.
Go after the lymphatic system.
Well,
and the
after the
kidneys.
lymphatic system, the kidneys and adrenals.
So this one comes from Maya. Hello, I have your lymphatic system, endocrine balance, and thyroid and thymus tonic in tincture. Is it safe to use during pregnancy? Marcie and I were just talking before we had the film rolling, and I was going to run this one by her as well. I'm going to get your take on it as well. But with the lymphatic, the endocrine, the thyroid, and thymus, when you were taking this originally, for whatever issue you're dealing with, if you're pregnant, we normally would like to try to keep those major elimination systems going, but not too strong. We don't want to focus too strong on the lymphatic system while you're pregnant. Usually the primary thing that we'll focus on is trying to keep yourself and your baby healthy and strong and help build them up, or build yourself and the child up. So the superfood blend is a great blend to be on. Has a lot of your nutrients, a lot of your minerals, your vitamins, a lot of other things like the phytochemicals and things like that, and they're all naturally from the foods. You can also support the kidneys. As you'll hear through a lot of our question and answers and a lot of the other videos, kidneys, adrenals, and lymph are always brought up. So that's kind of the question that would usually come up. Well, if I can't work on the lymph system, what would I work on? Or if I can't work on the lymph system aggressively, what should I work on? So what you have here, you have your lymph system, you have the endocrine balance, the thyroid, and the thymus. I would probably keep working. I would work on the kidney and bladder. The superfood blend is a good blend to be on. And stomach and bowel, I don't know how your bowel movements are, but even being on a good stomach and bowel formula, like a weaker one, like the number one that doesn't push too hard on the bowel tract at all, is just there to help bring up the alkalinity to help out with the absorption. And then really go after detoxing after the pregnancy and a little bit maybe after breastfeeding even. Because we've seen some pretty interesting, I've had some interesting people that I've spoke with that after they've started breastfeeding, or after they stopped breastfeeding, they went onto a hard detox and they saw mucus eliminating out through the nipple.
I bet.
So
I bet.
What we were just talking about was your body, if you really get into it and you start going after like a grape fast or even just a fruit and veggie fast, depending on the body, that can be enough to really get your lymph system moving and eliminating out through pretty much any nook and cranny you can think of. And I'll leave it up to the imagination. It really is about just every nook and cranny you can think of.
Well, women don't think about this, but you can test your breast milk with pH paper. And you never want to feed your baby acid. I just talked about this in the last video. You do not want to feed your baby acid breast milk, because then you're setting your baby up for all kinds of congestion, tumors, everything else. You want your milk to be alkaline.
Yep.
But it can't be alkaline if you're on an acidic diet, that's number one, or you're too acidic lymphatically. I say you're pretty right on there. I think that The lymphatics are the only ones we really caution you during pregnancy. I would work on my endocrine glands. I'd work on the baby's endos. I'd work on my kidneys for sure. I'd clean my bowels out. Absolutely, all those things. Absolutely.
Let your fruits be your lymph movers right now.
Yep.
Don't do anything that's too pulling. But this is a time to build. This isn't a time to flush out.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I can add one last thing in there, if there's anybody out there that's trying to get pregnant right now and is going through a lot of health issues,
Don't.
yeah, we
Wait.
get quite a lot of people calling into the clinic that
Please
are
wait.
just a few weeks into pregnancy and they get a hold of the videos and then all of a sudden they want to go through an intense detox. The ship has kind of sailed.
Yep. Yep.
So.
This is from Shannon. This is one. Organophosphate/pesticide poisoning, 4 years bedridden. Okay. We passed a GMO ban here on Hawaii Island, being sued by Monsanto. Look at this crap. So here is Hawaii. They banned the bad stuff, the stuff that's making people cancerous and sick. So now Monsanto, aligned with the dairy and the ranchers and the growers, are suing. You know, it's like, you just on this planet, you just reach this saturation of ignorance and unconsciousness, and it's like, oh my God, because these ranchers and the Monsanto people, they're hurting themselves and don't even realize, they're hurting their own families and don't even realize that. Glycophosphate banned in the works if we can keep it TPP away. Many children living around the GMO test fields very ill, bleeding noses, blood, birth defects, gastroparesis, and of course, absolutely, cancer clusters, everything else. I hope to help them when I learn how to.
Intestines out of the body.
I don't know what to say. When you have people like Monsanto that are a threat to the security of this planet, you ask yourself, what do you do with people that are a threat to the security of this planet? And when people wake up to the fact that these people are a threat to your babies and to the security of this planet, then maybe something will be done to put these guys behind bars and take care of them. So far, we praise them because they're scientists. Oh, really? These are not scientists. These are capitalists. So sad stuff. Okay, yours is down. Where was yours, one you just did?
Right
Here. That's the one you, okay. Good.
This is from Vicky. Hi, Dr. Morse. I'm a 51-year-old female, and I've always had health problems since I was born. At 3 weeks old, my stomach ruptured. And I've always had stomach and bowel problems.
My God.
I've had fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue symptoms since I was a child. Was finally diagnosed with that at age 47. In the last 4 years, I've been diagnosed with systematic lupus, connective tissue disease, rheumatoid arthritis, degenerative disc disease. I have hazel eyes. What herbs would you suggest?
You know what? Let me go back. Before we finish that one, let me go back. I didn't finish this one. So what do you do? Mitochondrial damage, etc., etc. Oh yeah, these are bad boy chemicals. So the only thing you have left to do is detoxify and regenerate. So this is why we call it, again, regenerative detoxification, because you can't just detoxify, you've got to rebuild tissue. And it'll rebuild the mitochondria, rebuild all the organelles in the cells, but you've got to get into these high levels of fruits, berries, and melons. You're not going to detoxify this out on greens and green juices and chlorophyll. You want up in there in the strong fruits and berries, to be honest with you. And then brain and nerve, circulation formulas, go after the kidneys, the adrenals. You really go after this. This lady's been bedridden 4 years. So you could have some Humpty Dumpties because when chemicals come out, not always fun.
Yeah.
So you could have some Humpty Dumpties cleaning yourself out, but sweetheart, you got to get out of bed, honey. You got to just get this out of you, man. Look at all the damage they're causing people on the island because they're so narcissistic. This is all about ego and how that. So all I can say is that we have to protect ourselves as humans from these bizarre entities that think they're some kind of God-given something. But this is sick, and you see this all around the world where these places are making people sick as all get out. nosebleeds, brain cancers, all kinds of stuff. So you know how to protect yourself. You get on the raw. You've got to also protect yourself. So you get on the raw, you use herbs, because that's the only tools we really have. You don't go to pharmaceutical, there's nothing to go to that doesn't hurt you except what God made. So it's pulling us back to that consciousness again. Sorry to hear all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, again, this was back to Vicky. And Vicky, this kind of ties in with what Attila was saying. For a stomach to rupture at 3 weeks old, you know that there was some weaknesses genetically anyway.
Big time.
Issues. That's why, going back to what Attila said, pre-pregnancy, take time to clean yourself up. 6 months may seem like a long time when you're really wanting to be pregnant. And I've said this with Robert before, but 6 months on the other side of a child that's sick or major issues like this will seem minute by taking the time to do that.
Yeah. And I tell you, I don't know how powerful we all can probably state that from what we see with the babies. And I mention St. Jude all the time because they just slaughter them. And it's just, you've got to protect yourself and your babies because they're grabbing jurisdiction. You all see that already. So we got a sick planet right now.
Yeah. All of these diagnoses, dear, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, these are all just going back to obstructions in the body. You've only got so many systems in the body and they all work together. The one thing about it that frustrates me is you and I were just talking about this yesterday, how now they're even specializing in types of cancer.
Oh, yeah.
We have specialized ourselves right out of understanding the body as a whole and how it works together. And all of these things that you've got built up, everything will want itis.
Yep. All acidosis, all inflammation.
Exactly.
Yep.
Inflammation, breaking it down. As far as the herbs and what we would suggest, those hazel eyes, they're blue. They're blue. You've got definitely, I'm assuming here, antibiotic use.
Could be.
With all of
this.
this.
Okay, so if she has hazel eyes, you know that sinner's either what? Brown or orange, right? So you know she either has a lot of sulfur or she has chronic bowels, which means you have chronic issues in the glands with it. There's a lot of things that accompany that.
Always had stomach and bowel problems, and that's just a precursor to things up here, right up here. And so go after those. You've got the 5 ways that your body eliminates. I'm going to add 6.
Okay, good.
Just for fun because that's how our world thinks. Okay, so we've got the bulls, BULLSS, because of how our world thinks. You've got bowels, always had stomach and bowel issues. You've got urinary, which is adrenal and kidney. You've got lungs. You've got lymph, you've got skin, and in our world today, you've got surgery, unfortunately. That's just my little joke. But you have to go after those, dear, especially, bowels and stuff, urinary, the intestinal tract, that's still made up of cells. Everybody thinks that the stomach and the bowel is your main way of eliminating. And in a lot of ways, it is the food. But what about the rest of the body? That's your kidneys. You've got to go after those kidneys. You've got to get this acid lowered so it quits chewing on you. It's eating you up. And you've got to get all your systems working together. Go after that endocrine. If you've got all of these issues, I'd love to see this eye. I'd like to take a picture, or like to see the pituitary on there, to have this many areas down.
What else? What else might you assume here, because she had a perforated gut or stomach, what might you assume that's possible that you might want to work with this person with? Parathyroid.
Yep.
You definitely want it because, as you said, you're creeping up to the pituitary. She's always showing signs of connective tissue loss or not being formed properly at birth.
Yep.
So that's going to lead us to pituitary and possibly the kick back down on the parathyroid.
Degenerative disc.
There you go.
Parathyroid.
Yeah, so you want to work on your parathyroid with the bones forming, hitchhike those two together for a while, but spend a month or two getting into what you're saying, getting into the kidneys, the adrenals, get your lymph moving, because most of the chronic fatigue is the adrenals.
Yeah.
It's your neurotransmitters. So when you're going to see low blood pressures and low blood sugars, all this stuff coming out of these tissues, you just got to fix them.
With this many acids going on in the body, or this much acid going on in the body, you need to be definitely all raw. You need to be all fruits. But you may feel that stirring all that up, those acids up, you may actually feel that hit a little bit and may want to, ease into, do a couple green drinks and get your body used to the raw and then do your fruits. Unless you can do the fruits all 100% up front and you don't feel that kickback, go for it. But if you start feeling that kickback, you may need to slow yourself down just a little bit with some green drinks and stuff and then ease into all fruits. But you're going to have to get all fruits and get yourself alkalized and get this acid out of the body and get the kidneys filtering.
See, that's all this is. Lupus, Lyme's, all this kind of stuff is just inflammatory issues, whether a viral, which is a protein, or any other protein enhance the inflammatory process. It doesn't matter. The only remedy to any of this is detoxification.
Yeah, and probably a good one for that case would be working on the GI broom as well.
Good take.
As we've kind of talked about it too, it works more as a almost like a lymphatic formula for the bowel tract.
Good.
It works on kind of astringing and pulling mucus outside of the wall, which can obstruct absorption, which is huge. So, of course, working with that, and don't be surprised if you start seeing some yellowish, orangish colored stool, lots of mucus, things like this. So.
But you want your pretty hazel eyes blue, my dear.
Yeah. Okay, so this one comes from Christina. Thank you for all you do. I'm a nutritionist and a health coach, and I can't wait to take your courses to help my clients. Meanwhile, I've been working on my own help and need a little guidance. Okay, so I've been high raw vegan for 3 years now. My core diet is fruit. My polycystic ovary symptoms have cleared dramatically, but I still have some of the other concerns. I'm having hair loss while grooming. I have very cold feet and hands, especially in the wintertime. I have a blood pressure of 90/60 to 110/60. I have dry skin, acne during ovulation. I have skin moles, mild thoracic scoliosis, left leg discrepancy, and I barely sweat at all. Also, so the heat is intolerable, not good for someone living south of New Orleans. And I'm taking licorice root and adrenals and thyroid, which I do feel better on, but I go to start sweating but I've got to start sweating and stop this hair loss. I suspect the lymphatic and parathyroid, but appreciate direction, please. I am vegan, so I do not want to use the glandulars. I don't think you're going to have to. It's really smart going after the licorice root and the adrenals, and also licorice for the adrenals and the thyroid. With your blood pressure being that low, you can also probably work on the adrenal formula at the same time of that. Skin just came up in multiple spots here, adrenals, thyroid, parathyroid, so all those areas are affected. You can go after probably 2 kidney formulas. You really want to work on that. Keep addressing the gut. And let me just see here. With the polycystic ovaries, the female reproductive formula is a good formula for that. And the biggest thing, you want to address the underlying concern of the problem, which is still the lymphatic system. So on top of working on the lymph system, you want to keep going after those major eliminatory organs to keep them open and properly eliminating. One thing that's holding you back quite a bit is the skin. And the hair loss, it just shows that you have poor circulation and poor nutrition and also poor elimination up here in the head area, which you can tie in like the pituitary, the pineal gland, hypothalamus, all the other organs, even the nervous system. So you want to get that cleared as much as possible. I know you're working on it right now, but you really want to go after it if possible. So
what would you take for that?
For the hair, you can work on the upper circulation and also the brain and nervous system.
Definitely want those two.
But it's really cool that you're seeing that the symptoms of the polycystic ovaries have been going down.
So what does that mean?
And the
That means
lymphatic-
she's getting her kidneys to filter more and more. You know, she's working on her kidneys and urinary tract system
Yep.
and getting more filtration. So then her, because whenever you pop cysts or tumors, what's down? Kidney and adrenals every time.
Mhm.
It does. She didn't even have to have a weak ovary to get that.
But I mean, like what I was saying earlier.
Yeah, she's saying it's hot.
Yeah.
Why is she so hot yet she's cold? She's cold because she's got thyroid weakness there, so you know that the pituitary could be slamming her thyroid. Maybe you have to look at her eyes and determine. But why is she so hot and yet so cold?
Acids.
Acids, totally. Yeah, I mean, this honey's in your face because it means you're highly acidic inside, and yet your thyroid is down and keeping you cold that way in terms of rate of metabolism and things. So that would affect blood flow, but hair loss is always lymphatics. Always, always, always. So this means you're backed up all the way up in the head and everything, sinus and everything else. And you just need to really push yourself into cold and flu-like symptoms, into big detoxes. Go, water fast for a few days, grape fast for 10 or 20, just have fun digging in.
And you can do the neurolymphatic points. We've had a few people who aren't able to get themselves to a sauna. We've kind of told, at least I've told them too, that when you have you can just take a shower, put the shower as hot as possible.
Close the
You don't
door.
have to- you don't have to stand underneath the water.
Right.
You'll just see the whole place is going to fill up with steam, and
Right.
that can help out even a little bit. But besides that, like it's even some of the putting a little bit of just like warm, not boiling hot, but just like warm solution back here on the cerebellum area around a lot of the lymph nodes here. You can do that too. So every little bit.
Then I would
helps.
finish it off with cold.
Yep.
Always want to finish it off
Yeah.
with cold because cold is alkaline. And even though you think cold isn't doing any good, it's part of the alkaline chemistry and everything's acidic. You need to cool off. Well, you cool off with foods. That's the only way you can cool off, and the best cooling off food is fruits. That's why islanders, their fruit trees are all over the islands. And then because it cools you down, it hydrates you quick, it's alkalizing, it's astringent. So all these things are essential for her to get well. But I would head off. Look how low your blood pressure is. So your adrenals are real low. Your systolic is your adrenal glands, and you're 90 over.
But that's not too bad for the kidneys, though, for it being 60.
60 over, yeah, she's right at 60, which is good, but you could have 60 and have a creatinine of a 0.8 or 9, which would be too high and not filtering, but you still could have a decent 60 to 65 BP.
Yeah.
Because the kidneys aren't breaking down yet, they're just not filtering, that process is building. Oh,
Do you care? I have a client, but I wanted
Okay, go ahead.
this
You
one
take off.
here.
Take
This
off.
one here is kind of 3-in-1, and then I'm gonna have to say goodbye. This one, Kathy, have you ever treated someone with bulbar ALS? The only affected areas so far are my swallow, breathing, and speech. Is there anything that you can do? This one is Paul. Hello, I'm 30-year-old male, just entered 3rd year mark of diagnosed with ALS. I have a walker and don't have much use of my hands. My fiance left me and my 5-year-old daughter is being kept from me from her mother.
Oh my
What
God.
herbs should I get from Dr. Morse? I was thinking of these, but what dosages? And I'm going to answer these. I just wanted to, this one's from Raja. I have been diagnosed with motor neuron disease, MND, in June of 2013. Could you please suggest if any of your protocol will work for me?
Good idea.
These are all part of a group of neurological degeneration that goes on. There's a group of them, and they all fall into that category. And we've been seeing a lot more of your ALS cases and
man.
things like that. You have to understand that in this, it goes after the neurons. The neurons basically are dying off. And it's basically in the brain, in the spinal column. Pressure, the glial cells. I want to get back. I want to go back to this here. But the study on the glial cells, the lymphatic system, and them discovering how it's not eliminating like it should. They actually found a lymphatic system of the brain. Didn't think that there was one. And we know that there was.
Now there's 2.
Yes.
Now there's 2.
So you have to understand the pressure that is put up here, and it goes after your neurons. There's different areas, and you've got to go after the adrenals first of all. Your neurotransmitters are key in this. The communication is not happening between the brain and the body. It is killing off those neurons, and what kills off cells within the body. It's the same thing that we have been talking about. Your lymphatic system sits and amongst every single cell of the body, including the neurons. And when that gets backed up, when that gets obstructed, when that gets clogged, you've got pressure and you've got all this going on in here. Of course things are going to get affected. Brain areas are going to get damaged. This area is a closed unit. I mean, you're draining right here. And that's why you're seeing so many thyroid issues and things like that these days.
And tumors on the side of the neck.
Exactly.
Throat.
Exactly. Pressure back here along the medulla and in the back of the base of the spine and stuff. Is there help? Absolutely. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I can't think of any other help but this.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. You've got to go in and you've got to clean. You're in for a long road because this is a progressive thing and it can be somewhat fast moving. But go after all fruits. You're talking your berries, your melons, your fruits, 100% fruits, because this is progressive and you can't afford to take time and to slow down. You've got to go after that. You've got to get the lymph moving. This is key. But how do you get the lymph moving? You've got to get the kidneys filtering. What can limit the kidneys? A number of things, but the main thing, the brain of the kidneys, is the adrenals. So you've got to go after that. I would be on the brain and nerve and the upper circulation. I would be on the superfoods, making sure you're getting that bowel moving. Remember that transverse colon has a direct effect on that brain. Making sure that transverse colon is going. Do the GI broom. Oh my word. GI broom and lemon fasting was what did me the biggest change in my body and in my eyes. Go after it. I know that there is concern for weight loss and stuff, but you have a bunch of damaged areas in the body. You have to break those down before you can build them up. Use the superfoods to build them up. Use the fruits to build them up. But you've got to get the lymphatic system moving. You've got to get the kidneys filtering so that you can move the trash out of the way so that it can... When Hurricane Katrina hit, we didn't go in the next day and start rebuilding the city. We went in with the, how do you say this, the earth movers and the payloaders and we moved the damage out first before we started rebuilding. And you've got to do that. Use your fruits. 100% fruits. You can't afford to not have the energy from those fruits in the body right now.
Well, we told him about that one case of Lou Gehrig's, ALS, who came in. And this was we showed one even more advanced than her, but she was pretty advanced, in the wheelchair, can't talk anymore, neurologic, similar to what's happening to this one individual. Mm-hmm. And of course her feet turned in. And we've talked about this case quite a bit on this YouTube about how she was there at the end of April, and when did she leave? September? Something like that. She was walking and talking.
And singing.
Now,
toes
she still needed a lot of months to run and to walk real good, but from a position of inertness to a position of singing and talking and walking again, come on. And that was only in 4 months. Total fruits, total berries, total melons, and herbs. And that's what you have to do. You have to live on that. Mm-hmm. And like I said, can't worry about the weight, can't worry about what you see, because you're about rebuilding the body and the nervous system in particular, and getting rid of brain lesions. Yes. I mean, there's lesions everywhere in these people.
And in every case of ALS that I have had, parathyroid has been an issue. It sucks calcium. All that acid does, it keeps it from doing what it needs to do and being absorbed the way it needs to be absorbed. So you've got to go after it. In every case that I have had so far of ALS or any of these neurological issues, parathyroid has been an area that we've had to go after.
Because calcium plays a major role in nerve transmission.
Yep.
And so not just in connective tissue and skeletal tissue. I mean, when you look at all the things calcium does, and from one perspective, and someone said 96% of the body mineral-wise is calcium. So it's a high level. Mm-hmm. It's enough to say that it's a base component that can be used for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But there's only one way out of ALS, no matter how many brain lesions. I just talked to one that was a MS with about a little over a dozen brain lesions. And so these are all just created from acids. And if you don't remove these acids, you ain't going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Don't get frustrated too if it's a little bit involved in the beginning too. A lot of the cases that we've had, ALS, more neurologically advanced cases, the adrenals are really, they're very involved with that. And
Very involved.
as soon as those go down, which they usually will go down in the beginning of a detox, you can really feel them and you won't feel too hot. And we had a few people with ALS and they start coming back and say, what are you doing to me? And like, I'm not doing any better, I'm getting worse. But there is always a period of time in the beginning where it is a little harder for them, while their adrenals, you see all of the weaknesses being exposed. It takes a little bit of time. So the best thing that you can do is give patient, and also look at your alternatives as well, because they usually don't look too good. So the biggest thing I want to tell the people out there is just stay strong, and like I said, with the ALS and a lot of the other neurological cases that are involved, you just want to give it a little bit of time and don't give up. You're cleaning out and you're working on practically every single part of your body at the same time. So it's not just that you're working on that issue, you're practically fixing your whole body. So if it takes a little bit of time, you know, it will.
Yeah.
It will. So don't give up hope on that.
Plus, a lot of this, it really goes, you really notice it with the speech and the swallowing and the breathing and the things like that. And the one thing that you're going to have to be careful of, especially when you start going after the mucus in the body, is the choking factor and having to suction that out. And a lot of people get panicked at that because you feel like you can't breathe. You may need to slow yourself down just a little bit if that's too much, or figure out a way to suction that out, or
go down to the medical supply house and rent yourself a suction machine.
Exactly.
We've done it.
But you've got to get it out. You've got to get that out. And a lot of people will be afraid of that. A lot of people are on this stuff like Ensure and things like that, that is a dairy product, basically, and high proteins.
Mucus.
Total mucus forming. That's the last thing you want. And you need to get on the fruits, but the fruits can get rid of mucus, and you've just got to be prepared for that and be aware. The biggest thing is hope. I need to go, but I want to leave you guys with that word, especially these three with the neurological issues going on. There's nothing else. I don't want to say there's nothing else out there, but this is the only thing that I have seen that can help to this level.
And rebuild you and make
Exactly.
you whole again. Because you're totally in the regenerative process. So you have to ask yourself, what is that?
Yeah.
And how does my body degenerate? Well, again, we've talked quite a bit about this, but there's only two sides of chemistry, and everything's chemistry. So you ask yourself, which side of chemistry is breaking me down, and which side of chemistry could build me up? Because you can't have everything break you down. So there is the good side, so to speak,
Yeah.
and the bad side. Which one is it? And so when you start tying all that in, and tying your metabolic waste, and the fact that the body needs to have a sewer system to get rid of it, and all the things we discussed, then you start putting two to two together that, wait a minute, I'm not getting rid of my metabolic waste, they're biting me back.
Exactly.
Because when you say acids and proteins, they're going, where are they coming from? You know, I just did a movie just talking about that very thing, about car exhaust and the burn and all that. So very important.
Have you ever been in an outhouse and the smell?
Oh,
Imagine all that metabolic waste, poop, just sitting amongst
That
all those
thing.
sails. Exactly.
I was
Exactly.
raised in the country, honey.
Robert said this a number of times. You take a baby that poops in its diaper and you don't change it, what happens?
Yep.
It starts breaking down that skin.
Exactly.
Imagine what that is on the inside.
Exactly. And that's after bacteria has broken down. So imagine pre-bacteria, which is pre-lymph node.
Yeah,
And of course, your joints, everything, you not only feel it, but you lose them.
yeah.
See, it's not just about feeling it.
60 years ago, they believed that neurons, you were born with as many as you would have, and they would not regenerate, and they have proven that wrong.
We have proven that wrong.
have a hand, but who knows?
Yeah.
If a hand's missing
You
or
never
so.
know.
You never know.
Thanks, honey.
I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Have fun.
Oh, we'll have fun.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, honey. Another thing that was mentioned on Attila's thing was hot. When you're a neurological case, heat is not something you want because it'll make you weaker. Heat is acidic, so it's innervating. And so those that have more neurological weaknesses, when you're around the heat, you'll feel more tired, more lethargic. So you always want to keep yourself cooled off a little bit. You're alkalizing yourself, and it just shows itself in every way.
Mm-hmm. So I want to go into this
Sure.
one? All right. This one's a little bit of a long one, but... Okay, so hello, Dr. Morse. I came across your YouTube videos by accident, and I'm thrilled that you provide positive, life-changing tips for the general public. Thank you so much. I myself am a believer of the natural healing, herbs, and nature, and have avoided taking medications my entire life. Other than that's what's given to me under dental procedure. It is still an uphill battle for me to get it right, especially since my hubby drinks his meat, milk, and music. He's the reason why I'm contacting you. After every tour this past year, he's a musician. He's been coming home feeling ill. I understand being fatigued and tired, but he has hives on his back for at least 6 months now. They go away and then they come back, and then after this last tour, 3 weeks ago, he came home with an eye inflammation that won't go away. Usually I can handle any issue pretty good, treating with essential oils and herbs, and have him back on his feet in no time, but this time the job is too big and scary for me. It's a pretty long one. You want to cut it in half?
Yeah, let's cut it right there.
All right.
Let's cut it right there and talk about what she's saying right there.
Yeah, so going back up to here, the top part here is my hubby loves drinking his meat, milk, and music. And then going down, he's been coming home feeling ill, which we all know kind of the effects of travel and how it can suppress the, pretty much the adrenals, and it can suppress the digestive tract as well. So nothing really works 100% right when you're traveling too much. And then when he came back, he has hives on his back, which with hives, skin's involved, but skin is a major elimination system. So when you have hives happening, you're seeing a lot of acid kickback from the skin, and it's pretty much trying to eliminate. It's kind of all tied together with any skin issue that we've seen. It's often, whether you get into the psoriasis, the dermatitis, the eczema, all the other inflammatory conditions, they're all tied back to the lymph system. And the meat and milk, not helping at all. Very congesting.
Well, let's look at that. He's on meat, acid, milk, mucus, acid, and the only really soothing thing he has is music, depending on the type he plays. So basically, your husband has to get with it. All the other musicians, a lot of musicians out there are getting into health. I just told you about Brian Adams, real good personal friend. Look at Brian. He's a raw foodist. He's 57?
Mm-hmm.
He's banging out that music like nobody's business. I said, man, you're singing for 2.5 hours straight and you're banging it. And it's like, damn. And it's just, he feels so good. And let me just give you an example. We have a lot of musicians like him that are on the raw. They're not doing the meat and the milk and slapping it down, because as long as you're a hubby, no matter who he is, slapping down milk and meat, don't bitch. Because you're not going to get well by giving him a few essential oils and maybe a few herbs. No, he's starting to get himself in trouble systemically. So this is going to go back to his kidneys and adrenal glands, because to be a musician you have to have a little adrenal gland weakness, just because that's the creative side of life.
Yeah. But then the next thing that was happening too is he came home with eye inflammation that won't go away.
Yeah, it's just all acidosis, and that's a
Yeah.
bad thing, because if it won't go away, that means the lymph system has become stagnant within the eye itself, and that means nothing but bad stuff. Nothing good comes of that.
Well, yeah, and you can get into working on the lymph system, the kidneys,
Eye wash,
Yep, the eye
topically
wash.
and internally.
Absolutely, upper circulation. You can work on that. Kind of similar to the earlier ones, where you can work on the neurolymphatic points on the back of the head area to really stimulate a lot of the elimination organs and the lymph system there too. Again, going on here, against my nature, I did force him to go to a doctor. Since
Martin.
my husband, just wanted to wait it out, which is kind of a standard attitude of his. The doctor he went to gave him a steroid, prednisolone, which I guess only suppressed the inflammation as long as he was taking the
Worst
drops.
one you could take.
Yeah, but after he stopped using them, the first day his eye got red again.
Yeah.
Just shows you.
Yeah. You suppress,
Yeah.
it comes back. You suppress too much, it comes roaring back.
Yep.
And a lot of you have experienced that with Accutane and other things with this, and it's like sad stuff. You
You
know
see
that,
it a lot with skin issues like psoriasis.
don't you?
I mean, it's like
Yeah.
the dermatologists are playing whack-a-mole with your skin. You know, they're
They
putting
They don't have a friggin' clue.
they put a little bit of steroid cream pretty much on here, and then it pops up to the left. You
Oh.
put it there, it pops up
Oh.
over here, and then you
The
stop
most
taking
unaware
it. and
MDs, they rank up in there. No offense to you guys, but my
Yeah.
God.
Okay, well, that's even more scary. The doctor doesn't know what he has, and only knows that it's inflamed.
Oh my
which
God.
I'm pretty sure an average person could tell you it's
Yeah,
inflamed.
an average. Those guys listening to us right now
Yeah.
could take this young man and fix him right up.
Yeah.
That's how good you guys are. Listening
Uh,
to all these long, boring.
Skipping forward just a little bit, thanks to your info, I'm now slowly able to include my hubby on his diet at least 50%.
That's a good
now.
start. That's a good
Yeah.
start. And get him excited about other musicians are into this heavily. Mutt Lange, one of the great producers, heavily into this. Shania Twain. We can go on and on and on. Part of the band of Maroon 5, part of the band of Nickelback. I mean, these guys know where health is. You've got a lot of people. I'm trying to think of the band that turned Mutt on to us. Death Leppard. I mean, Death Leppard, incredible band, really into the raw, a lot of them. And so, get out there and be a musician. We have studios down here. All the musicians come up here, get their lives healthy and stuff. You got to get your man fixed up, honey. Get him off of the crap. And
She's worried due to the time frame and doesn't want the eye to get damaged through conventional medications. And
well, get the eye wash and wash topically and take it internally. At the same time, you're going to go to kidneys and adrenals, start moving that lymph system, and that'll come out of the eye fairly quick.
and the risk, severe injury or even blindness.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure, absolutely. If you keep acids in the body, you're guaranteed to lose the respective tissue. Guaranteed.
And once you start getting a lot of acidosis up in the head, that's when you're going to start seeing that milky
Yeah.
white or
Yeah.
gray inside the eye.
Yeah, so if he's a
Cataracts.
guitar player, better be careful. He'll forget the chords.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's good, though. At least he's on the 50% now, so.
Get this,
Everyone
we
has
had
to-
a guy in, little old guy, you worked with him.
Mm-hmm.
A little beard, that little guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I know.
And I was out talking to him. He said, "You saved my life." And he's talking about what you put him on and all that, congestive heart failure.
Oh,
and they only
yeah.
told him, remember, he had 2 weeks to live. His ankle's swollen real bad.
That was the one picture you showed with the oozing out. the
Yeah, the oozing and
Cool
everything.
stuff,
So
yeah.
you got him on a program, fixed him up really nice. He's still working on it. You can still see he needs some nerve power to the lungs. I was talking to him out there in the clinic, and he says, "I'm a drummer." I said, "You're a drummer?" I said, "I'm a 12-stringer and an organ." He said, "You ever hear of the Cars?" And he mentioned another band that I forgot even existed that he was a drummer in. It was like, damn!
Yeah.
So your hubby needs to step up and realize he's in good company, and that we got to get rid of the milk and the meats in our civilization. If he wants to hold on to it, let him enjoy his pain. Because there's nothing you can do. If he won't change his awareness, then there's nothing you can do.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, and just one last thing I wanted to add here. If he's having skin problems too, you can work on a little bit. This will probably clear a lot of it out just by the diet. You'll see the skin clearing up. But you can work on things like the GI broom or a stomach and bowel formula to clear out some of that mucus and build up in the bowel
Well,
tract.
remember, the skin is the lymphatic system, and the kidneys are all the same. Go after them.
And you can also work with the skin formula as well to help alleviate that a little bit.
Yep. Excellent. Excellent. Oh, this is return to notes here.
Yes,
Here,
sir.
right there. This is return to Jen. This is Gita. Bhagavad Gita. Oh well. Hi team, I am 37 years old and recently detected with hypothyroid, and I don't want to get to the lifetime medication. I have a 6-year-old daughter and now want to go for second time conception but cannot go ahead as got blood test results for thyroid. Please help me on this. Regards, Gita. Well, again, we've talked a lot about the reason why these tissues become hypo or hyperactive. And remember, there's 4 phases that your body goes through in the process of becoming toxic and breaking down. And the first process is the acute process, the subacute process, the chronic process, and then the degenerative. These are all stages that stack on top of each other if you don't fix the acute stages. The acute stages, you generally have some kind of discomfort, pain, stopped up. You're aware that you've created a problem. You need to fix it. If you don't and you suppress that, you might not know you have a problem till you get all the way past the chronic stages to the degenerative stages till that pain returns. Anywhere along there, you can have hypothyroid or whatever, knowing that thyroid is just a bunch of cells and that the fluids take care of the cells. So if there's a problem with the cells, you want to first look at the genetic stance of those cells, and then second, which fluid could be breaking down or suppressing the function of the cells.
Yeah. And just because you have a hypothyroid, it doesn't necessarily mean you just want to work on the thyroid tissue itself. There's some circumstance that you would want to maybe stray away from the thyroid or wait to work on the thyroid. Hyperthyroid, which is not this case, but hyperthyroid would be one. You don't want to stimulate an overstimulated tissue. Another one would be if you have a goiter and nodules, might be cause for concern. You'd wait, and even working on the adrenals, working with some of these other organs, the adrenals are very heavily interlinked with the thyroid as well.
Well, and you also have to look at this, sweetheart, in terms of maybe pituitary. Look at your height, look at your ovulation. As your monthly cycles on time, or are they irregular? If you're short, that would lead you up to your pituitary gland, and you would have to correlate this with your blood work and TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, but you would want to look to see if that hypothyroid is not a pituitary hypothyroid, because if you go after the thyroid, that might not be where the problem really is, and you can't trust a medical doctor to know because they're the worst at understanding the pituitary thyroid connection. So you want to be careful there. I would start out just using a thyroid herbal formula along with a detox program. If you didn't bring your thyroid up, check your basals under your arms and see what your basal temperatures are. It should be around 98. If it's anything close to 98, you're good. But you want to take a deeper look at this, and you also want to take a look at the parathyroid. The thyroid's involved. It's possible that parathyroid's involved. You're now having children. Did you have any postpartum depression? Just look at this whole area in general and what it does for you, and look at symptomology. But it's enough to say that be careful with the glandulars. If you do a glandular for the thyroid, you only want to do a 150 milligram or less. And I would do maybe one a day and just keep working with my basal temperatures and see how that works. But you've got a 6-year-old daughter, and the chances of her having hypothyroidism or getting into that is certainly high. So think about the fruits and stuff for your 6-year-old. 6-year-old children should be on fruits, berries, and melons. That's their diet. That's what you would do. So you might want to put yourself on that too, Gita, and get your thyroid back up and do the endocrine gland formula, the thyroid formula. But remember what Attila said, full body detox, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Alrighty. This comes from Ellie. Hello, Dr. Morse. After having discovered you only a couple weeks ago, I have a question regarding cataracts and floaters. Can these be reversed, and if so, can you detail a protocol? Thank you, Ellie. With cataracts and floaters, kind of what we were alluding to a little bit in the beginning, one of the other questions we had is you want to watch out because the cataracts is just showing you that you're plaquing up cholesterol in the head area. And one thing that comes right after that I see time and time after again, in eye photos especially, what I'm referring to is the iridology. you usually see a lot of cholesterol plaquing throughout the body with cataracts, and it's not something that's really good. The floaters and cataracts directly, if you want to address them, um, because those can just be annoying off the hand, dealing with that every single day. You can work with the eye wash formula internally as well as applying it externally to the eye itself. But you want to get to that underlying problem that's causing some of these issues, such again as the kidneys, the lymphatic system, and really get to the reason of why your body's plaquing cholesterol in the first place. So you always want to work on that. You can work on you can actually, if you want to, you can take a picture of your own eyes and see if you have that almost milky white haze around the outer white or on the outer area of the iris itself, between the iris and the sclera. Usually plaques right around that area. You'll usually see a little bit of blue too for circulation. But main point, you can just look at that for fun. But you definitely want to work on the lymph system and get some of that acidosis out of there that can cause the body to plaque calcium, plaque cholesterol, and hold on and retain water, because that's never really good. That shows you that you're definitely going into more of a chronically affected area. So as you start clearing this head out, though, things you want to maybe watch for, you might see a little bit more of your sinuses getting involved, your head and your mucus, your head draining mucus or lymph downwards. So this area might get affected. So don't freak out too much. Don't jump to a diagnosis right away. You might just be seeing the lymph move out through the head area. Kind of what I've said in a previous video was we've had people who start out with dermatitis on the skin right here on the scalp area, and as they start cleaning themselves outward or internally, a lot of the mucus starts moving downward into a lot of the areas around there. So you're detoxing areas, not just organs. So the whole area you're detoxifying, and you might experience a little bit of lymphatic pressure in the ear, which might come into like a ringing in the ear or tinnitus, and then equilibrium loss, your postnasal drip, a lot of this sinus, a lot of these sinus areas draining downwards. And tightness in the neck, lymph nodes maybe swelling a little bit here by the jawline and around the neck. But
the reason that we keep drilling on the lymphatic system is obvious. And of course, just the video, you might want to watch the video before this one, because I just addressed the same thing, cataracts and stuff like this. And it's just understanding that when you're diagnosed with cataracts, you're in trouble, and you hit it right on the head. You're plaqued in the brain. But you don't. Why does cholesterol plaque itself? Remember, cataracts are cholesterol plaquing. So why does cholesterol plaque itself? See, and that's what we're getting at. We're getting at why you have these problems. And there's only two major fluid-based systems that you would see this problem involved in. Everything else is just tissues. So you have to take a look at the chemistry of things to understand why cholesterol, and what is it with these cataracts and cholesterol plaquing and strokes and things like this. And it just simply goes back to there's only two sides of chemistry, and when acids rule, the body tries to protect itself. And we just talked about this in the last video, is that the body uses cholesterol or adrenal steroids or calcium. Can't just be cholesterol. You get calcifications everywhere too. But you want to get rid of these, and the only way to get rid of them is what? Detoxification. How you get rid of them? They just fly away? Do you burn them out? No, you're already burning. So you have to detoxify them out. Well, detoxification is a process that starts when you change your diet from dead to living, and the living into the fruits, berries, and melons category. You really start cleaning.
Yeah. And you asked to just kind of like give a little bit of a layout. Well, I'd definitely be on 2 kidney formulas. You can go on to 2 lymphatic formulas. The adrenals and the upper circulation, especially the upper circulation works from the neck up, especially. That one's a good one. You can get into the brain and nerve, and the eye wash is something that's really good for you as well. You can
I would
address these specific issues.
And I would get strong on that. You mentioned a couple other things. Hot and cold compresses, the neurolymphatics, candle your ears. Start moving things. Start moving fluids in your body. You're in a stagnation. And so you want to enhance, hydrate, move, eliminate, and then you'll be well. And you just want to be careful about the strokes too, because this is all signs of strokes coming.
And the craziest thing is, like, what you're saying about the drummer that came in too.
Yeah.
Those are the things that are late stage that you can get to some of these things. So with like the
Exactly.
cholesterol plaquing, you
Yeah.
can get into actual fat deposits throughout the body where it shouldn't. You can see organs becoming actually start getting fatty organs,
Yeah.
lipomas. All
Everywhere.
these. With the water retention, of course, the big ones are edema, which that gentleman had. You can get into, of course,
Congestive heart failure,
yeah,
pulmonary edema.
Yeah.
My God, I mean, just kill yourself.
Yeah.
You know, now he's
Enough
running.
fun.
Now he's happy fella.
Yeah.
He still needs to fix his breathing a little bit. That's the adrenal glands, right? So you keep working on that. You got this guy. You saved this guy's butt.
Yeah.
Now he has a life, and maybe he can go back drumming. I got to find the other band because it's an old band that you just kind of dropped away, but it was famous back in our time. And everybody's heard of the Cars. All right, pretty good. I didn't know how to pronounce that word. It's Hatha or something. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I apologize majorly. Nishanthi. Something like that. I ate 1.5 pounds dry weight of Canadian dulse. Wow. Over 3 days? That's a lot of dulse. 1/2 dried, 1/2 soaked. Shortly after eating, stomach grumbled. A few hours later, got loose stools. I woke up in the middle of third night with painful stomach, cramping, ended up using washroom. The entire 4th day, I felt nonstop pain emanating from lower chest, upper abdomen, and mid-back. After eating an evening salad, lemon and olive oil, no dulse, on no appetite, pain worsened, especially when laying down on back. Painful breathing, heavy metals. Heavy metals? Question mark. Good question. I wouldn't think heavy metals would cause this kind of symptomology so much, so fast, you know. 1.5 pounds of dried Canadian dulse. That's a lot of iodine. Can't tell you. Shortly after eating, stomach grumbled, and a few hours later got loose stools. So, definitely spasmed your liver, gallbladder, maybe even your pancreas. Spasmed your stomach. So I don't know what that ended up tripping or doing. It could have started to initiate a stone removal out of your gallbladder. You could have look to see if you don't turn jaundice. All I could say is you might want to do a liver gallbladder flush, or just put yourself on top fruit. Just put yourself on a grape fast or a water fast even for a couple of days. Sip, go slow, use Hill All Tea, go real slow and sip Hill All Tea.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty intense.
Pretty intense. You need to look at your eyes and see why. But 1.5 pounds of dulse is quite a bit of, you don't think much about vegetables, but when you're into seaweeds, these things will rip you. These things are strong. Kelp and dulse, extremely high iodine and calcium, but hard to say. But that causing pain like that, then you have stomach problems, or it was just so intense of nutrition. But that still shouldn't have done anything. Sounds like it spasmed you, causes spasms. So maybe it was a liver gallbladder. But I would put myself on some herbs for the liver gallbladder, on the GI tract, GI broom and stuff. Mm-hmm. Start cleaning up and get your GI tract in shape. And then I would probably go light on the seaweed in that way, because I'm telling you, very concentrated and a lot of iodine and a lot of calcium.
Would you recommend something like the marshmallow tea?
Oh, that would be a good one too.
Something
Marshmallow, slippery elm, something like that. The things that are in the Hill Law stuff. Yeah, stuff like that to soothe things down. I'll tell you something else I might recommend. The antispasmodic.
Yeah.
You might want to get some antispasmodic. If you can't get ours fast enough, of course you're not going to get this up probably in fast enough. That's the problem with these. But you could go get valerian root. You could go get California poppy would also work. I'm trying to think the one that makes you throw up. That's out of the mind. But anyway, an antispasmodic will help with the spasms and the pain, because this spasmed you in some way. So again, you have to look at the stomach. Too intense chemistry. So either stomach, liver, gallbladder, bowels.
Yeah,
But I'd flush it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes even the herbs can be too strong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Too much of a good thing.
Too much of a good thing can be hard on you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things, you know. It's just like poke root. If you have too much poke root, throw you in the ground. Bloodroot, you know, they're real strong. These are powerful herbs. That's why we don't recommend them during pregnancy. But your kidney herbs, your endocrine glands are basically berries. So when you're pregnant, you can have all those sort of things.
Or do you want me to?
No, it's yours.
All right.
Pretty soon.
So, this is from Olive. Dear Dr. Morse, I came across your YouTube channel a few days ago while searching for a natural treatment for hyperthyroidism.
There you go.
Talk
You're opposite.
about
There
it,
you
yeah.
go. You got hit with the hypo. Now you got hit with the hyper.
A little over a year, I've been experiencing some changes in my throat and irregular heart palpitations, which is really loud. I'm scared. I don't have health insurance. I don't have any money to go to a traditional doctor. I am in school full time. I can feel the bulge in the front of my neck.
Yep.
Well, kind of, if you go back a few questions, hypothyroidism was talked about, and this is somewhat similar to what I was talking about, where you have a hyperactive thyroid, you're starting to feel the bulge from either a nodule or a goiter forming. And plus, like I said, you don't have health insurance and things like this. You can go after this naturally. It's just you're going to have to make some form of a lifestyle change.
The only way to go after it.
Yeah, and it seems like you're ready. You found us. So the big thing is, this is a time where you wouldn't want to work on the thyroid directly, as counterintuitive as it actually sounds. You can, by working with an herbal and especially a glandular, you can definitely hyperstimulate the hyperstimulated tissue. You can cause the goiters to grow. I know that we've talked about this times before, but the nodules to grow. And you just don't want that to happen. So the safest route is still detoxifying, but working with the fluids that are bathing the cell or the cells in the thyroid in the first place, which is one of the, a little bit of a side note, is why you can work on every single tissue inside of the body at the same time if you're working with the lymph system and, of course, the eliminatory organs. You have to work on your adrenals with this as well. You might want to start looking into the eyes as well. Check and see with the pituitary if that's involved. But the adrenals, the lymphatic system, the kidneys are really big that you need to focus on and get those filtering. You might want to go ahead and get yourself a mason jar and just start. Let me just say that. This is it's shown in a few of the videos. If you don't know how well you could see them, but this is.
Seemed pretty good.
Yeah. You could see a little bit of almost like a white or haze inside of inside of these samples. These are urine samples. So this is what we're talking about filtration and being able to see that in the urine. So you definitely be good if you would see that, but if you don't, you're definitely going to have to work on the lymphatic system. You're going to have to work on these kidneys to help open them up. Grapes, from what we've seen, are really good for getting the lymphatic system broken apart and eliminated out through the kidneys. Beets, parsley, and dandelion is a good green drink mixture that you can do. And I've seen quite a few people with their filtrate that set off filtration for them.
Yeah,
so 2 kidney formulas would be, I would say, an absolute must. You want to work on the lymphatic system and just really start working on the whole body. You should see the thyroid coming down in size and it returning to more of a normal state. We've seen them because thyroid and adrenal are the product. I haven't really seen any more cases than that coming through the doors for people with thyroid, whether it's hypo or hyper. So we're very experienced with the hyper and hypo thyroid cases.
You could say basically that hypo and hyperthyroidism are the opposite side of the same coin. And so when you understand that, first of all, the side of chemistry that's causing hyperactivity and hypoactivity are the same. that acids not only can create hyperactivity, they'll slam and break down and always end up in hypoactivity. When you're in a hyperactivity, you're in a subacute stage, you're in a good stage to get rid of this. It is not difficult to touch hyperactivity issues, but that's inflammation, which is acidosis, and it can hyperstimulate anything that's weak neurologically. So on a case like this where you have no money or anything else, you have to do the diet. And that's fruits, berries, and melons, period, end of story. Because if you're getting an enlargement here, you hit on right at it, because this is like a tumor. And the hyperactivity is just stimulation from the same side of chemistry that can make it hypo. And it shows you how it's a fluid-based system, because you start getting a tumor, which is a fluid-based system. And that's your lymph system again. So as Attila says, adrenals, kidneys, clean up the bowels. This is hooked to the GI tract. Get on the GI, clean up your GI tract. Got to go after the kidneys and adrenals, because they control the lymph system. Get yourself sweating. Get yourself to open up. Don't touch the thyroid at all. Just go after the adrenal glands, because your hyperactivity might not even be the thyroid. It could be the pituitary kicking up the thyroid, making both hyperactive. And then, of course, you're not moving lymph. So to show you they're not moving lymph is when things, I've been talking way too much, that when things are hyperactive and you start, it starts making more and more waste products, you can tell it's a fluid problem, because tumors is just pockets of fluid. So when you understand that this is a fluid problem, that it can become a cell problem, you've got to take care of the fluid problem.
And it really is neat when you can actually see like these types of cases pan out. Because I remember when I started working here too, I remember when you told me, like, you don't usually work on the thyroid when you have a thyroid problem, and that was so hard for me to kind of grasp until I actually saw it happening. And it's kind of neat when you really can see a lot of this play out and see how a hyperactive case can go into a normal functioning case and not dip too low. And basically it was just all done through your diet, and also working with some of the herbs to help that are tissue specific, help to open up those kidneys, help the lymphatic system move, and get those adrenals up and running.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing over and over again, and it's funny. It sounds redundant and simplistic, and by God, it is. Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of this. And the beauty of this is simply unwinding what you created. That's all this is. You created this, even though in an unconscious state. Because that's mind writing things. Mm-hmm. Our mind is totally being conditioned, so we assume and think we're eating mama's food, we're eating society, everybody's good, the natural hygienic, everything's good. No. So that's what we're learning. We're learning that the very foods we're eating has been the problem. So you just have to go and fix these tissues, and get your lymph system moving, and everything is good that way. Okay, let's see what we've got here. This is funny. Hotima. Professor Hotima. I give him a little. Oh, he's really the guy that got me going on an orange fast. I don't know if you've read him. We've got a lot of his books in here. Higher Consciousness and Creation of a Superman. I think that was his too. Hotima says the weaker in health the human, the more able they are to cope with toxic conditions, as they have adapted to their environment. 100% disagree with George Clements. His name's George Clements, Professor Hotima. Wrong, but this is old stuff. Professor Hotima was earlier 1900s. Good guy, very metaphysical. Him and Bernard McFadden, or not McFadden, but Raymond Bernard was always going about immaculate conception ideas, high energetic ideas of energetic exchange of energy, and the immaculate conception type of things.
Yeah.
But Hotima's wrong with that. The weaker you get, and you can see through some of this stuff, because some of these old greats, they were great, but they had some funny ideas. This is not true. The adaptation of the body doesn't exist. You don't adapt to acids breaking you down. You go with acids breaking you down. and it'll constantly break you down. You see it everywhere. We don't adapt to it. We get chewed up by it. So there is no adaptation of the human body to toxic conditions, not at all. And so you never want to assume that. Does it hold true then what the Bible says about how the weak shall inherit the earth? You know why the weak shall inherit the earth, my friend? Because this is a hellhole right now. And those that don't want to grow and become godly in nature will enjoy the stay. This isn't heaven. You can make it heaven on earth, but that's in your own awareness. So the weak will inherit the earth, and that's true. The strong shall inherit the heavens. Absolutely. Okay, controversially, does this mean that healthy people will not be able to regenerate if we carry on down the same toxic path we are currently on? Or is it different for everyone in that what we are to find out, blah, 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 blah? No. No, my friend, you just have it. Timo wasn't right in his thinking at all. Take a look around. You can see it for yourself. All these toxic conditions, and bodies do not adapt. Bodies have never adapted to meat eating. Take a look at the human. You would think by now we've had some adaptation to these high protein diets. Show me. The human cell is being destroyed by our diets. There's no adaptation to this at all.
Yeah, cancer rates are through the roof.
You look at it through the roof. All these things are through the roof. So there's no adaptation. There is breakdown. That's it, right?
Yep. When you look at the diets of the people.
Did you have another one?
Yeah.
Oh, good,
I
good,
had
good.
some. But you look at the diet of some people, and like I said, you talked about extensively about even like Alaska, and the harsher the environment,
The shorter
the
the
more
lifespan.
acidic the foods are. The life expectancy is just down there
Yeah.
to show that repeatedly.
Well, look at the islanders. Like you said, you bring up a good point. Islanders have a very long lifespan. And you take a look at Alaskans, which only lived to be about 46, which is about the age they lived in Jesus' time.
Yeah.
So it's just like you see the longevity where you see the alkaline food ingestion, where you see the fruits, you see the longevity. Even if the islanders had some fish, okay, we're not saying that. But we're saying that the predominance of their diet is raw and nutritious.
Like I said, those are some of the most frustrated clients are the people in Alaska too, because they can't get their hands on any type of fruit.
That's the trouble.
And the best thing they can get is like canned fruits.
I forgot. Some lady said she could get, I forget what it was up in Alaska. I forget where she was in Alaska, but she could get some fruit. But it was like $5 for an orange or something. It was like, what?
I've heard some pretty expensive.
Yeah.
prices
Too
right
bad.
there.
It's just sick stuff.
Okay. So this is another case with acne that came up too. Skin-related issues. People
All over the place.
Yeah.
All over the place. And if you understand simply the skin is the eliminative organ to the lymph system, right there's your, I'm in the lymph system.
But it is probably the most frustrating organ to work with because
it's so big.
And you see it. When you get inflammation inside of, let's say, underneath the skin or something like this, you don't see it. You don't have to deal with it until you have some pain, and then that's when people are like, I better get this checked out.
Yeah.
But if you're seeing it, you don't even have to see pain. If you see a little bit of a red spot, you want to get that checked out immediately.
You could have the most beautiful body on the outside, and we've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the women come just beautiful, and inside tumors and all kinds of acids and pain. So, sometimes things hide right under the surface.
So this one is, hi Dr. Morse, I'm a 16-year-old boy from Australia, and I have taken my different acne treatments over the years.
16, here's another 16-year-old.
And many different acne treatments over the years
my God.
to try to help my face. While they did help, I believe that they have caused many other problems. After I took Accutane, my body has just been so bad, I feel so lethargic and unable to digest food properly. My hair has started to fall out rapidly, overgrowth of hair in my body, no energy, no libido. Will a Herbal Health Club help?
Big time. Matter of fact, this level of thinking, whether you hook to one of our YouTubers that know what they're doing or whatever, is the only level that can help you. because you don't treat these type of problems. There's nothing to treat. You're so full, your kidneys, you were only 16, so that tells us that you were definitely born with kidney and adrenal problems. Your skin is just a blowback, and you can see that. So there's where you have to go. You have to go to the main eliminative organs of the lymph system, even though the skin is the largest kidney you have and considered the third kidney of the human body, because it eliminates waste. So the problem is you're not doing that well. So I would work on my endocrine gland, make sure my thyroid, check my basal temperatures, make sure my thyroid is up so I have enough heat in my body to sweat or get myself a sweating. At the same time, I'm working on kidney and adrenals, aren't we?
And try to change the diet as best as possible. If you can get your hands on some good fruits.
Is it Australia?
Yeah. Try to get your hands on some good fruits and try to push it for that as well. Don't be surprised if it's going to come back in waves, though, because there's a client that I'm working with too.
Yeah.
Bad psoriasis. You pretty much lump like the acne, psoriasis, skin-related issues into a big pile. And what she has really good days where the food has cleaned her face up a lot, but then at the same time, she has the bad days as well, which is to be expected when you can see the body chooses the skin as a primary elimination system when you see a lot of these acids and inflammation start showing up in the skin.
Oh, man.
So when you elicit the response from the lymph system to start pushing all this waste out through any nook and cranny, sometimes the skin, as one of the biggest elimination systems in the body, may be used.
That's the bottom line to that one.
Mm-hmm.
Real important that people understand that is that because the kidneys are not filtering and you hit the body with raw foods and your herbs, the skin might be your blowback on top of that even. So your skin could get a lot worse, son. But let me tell you, it's the only way to clear yourself up. Look at that one case you got.
Yeah.
Where her skin was almost falling off of her face, and you now have it back to the red zone. It won't take her long, and that'll be gone. So you took a case where her beauty was mutated badly with the hunks of skin hanging off, and now she looks a lot prettier. So this is always fixable.
And you said that your digestion was bad too. You have to go after your
Accutane.
digestion. Yeah.
It sounds like he's as similar as all the other ones on Accutane. So it looked like Accutane just highly acidic, ripped the gut, ripped the adrenal glands in these people. Yeah, probably ripped the kidneys even more.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And if their digestion's down too, if like even they start to get constipated, you know that's even the adrenals causing that as well too. So
Absolutely.
You
So you know at 16, kidneys and adrenals, son, and you want to really work on them before you get old enough to have children.
I was about to say there's a lot of videos up on the channel too that you can peruse through. If you type in anything like skin, you can even branch out to a few other things like dermatitis or psoriasis, and it's where we work on it about pretty much the same exact way. So if you want to just kind of look through the videos and check out some more things on the skin, I know that there's plenty of them because we have droves of people in here with skin issues. So
Droves of people. But when you start to understand how simple the human body's made, the complexities are beyond anyone, so you don't have to worry about that. But the simplicity of it should make itself available to you, and understanding cells and two fluids. So whatever cells, it don't matter what cells are involved, thyroid, liver, pancreas, brain, adrenal, ovarian, uterine, prostate, don't matter what cells are involved, the same system is set up all through the body, the same system. Whether it's going to the prostate, whether it's going to the heart, whether it's going to the lungs. You've got blood and lymph flowing around every cell in the body to feed and clean it. It's everywhere. And so when you have a symptom, one of those fluids are not doing their job. Which one? Yeah, because if it's a blood, probably not going to be a happy camper long.
yeah.
And we just talked about that in a video before this. Mm-hmm. So everything kind of gels together here. Mm-hmm. It might sound redundant. Good.
Yeah.
Because once you get this, you'll be the best healer on the planet.
Yeah. And even the libido should work itself out as well.
Yeah.
That's just
I got to take a minute break. Says I got to talk. Yeah, we were talking about when we were off video, we were talking about a super strain of lice. It was on the news. And it's funny because pharmaceuticals are not having an effect on this superbug lice, except for this $138 pharmaceutical. But then it doesn't always work either, they said. But we have a lice shampoo that cleans them right up. An herbal shampoo cleans them right up.
Yeah.
Yep. You know, the scary part is the chemicals that we're using. It's like bacteria becoming stronger and stronger resistance against antibiotics. Well, when we learn we can't attack the messengers, we have to understand why they exist. It'll help us out with that.
Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm finding your YouTube videos. This comes from Kathy. So I'm finding your YouTube videos just delightful and so informative. Just had to take a minute to thank you for making us all aware of how to have a maximum wellness by virtue of these videos and all the Q&As. I'm happily near the end of systematic candiditis, candida, that has gone on for at least 2 years and maybe all the way back to the mid-90s. If I base it on the first starting getting psoriasis on my feet.
There's psoriasis again.
Better late than never, but oh, how I wish I found you years ago. Thank you, a neighbor in Nokomis, Florida.
A neighbor in Nokomis, Florida.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's just right up the road from us.
Yeah.
That's where I buy my pick-em-up trucks.
There you go. But, like I said, it looks like you kind of have the idea of what, we've all been talking about here and what Dr. Morse has been talking about. Going after the lymph system, going after those major elimination systems and where these, these fungals and these bacterials reside. Going after the environment, not so much as, like you said, some of these messengers or the cleanup crew.
Yeah. Can't get mad at fungus if you're not metabolizing sugars properly and creating a lot of fermentation in your body, combining your foods wrong, creating fermentation. You can't bitch because fungus is going to come in and deal with this.
I've always told the people that I'm working with that you have to go after the environment because an analogy that I've used, or probably overused now, was probably if you don't address your environment and you just go after parasites, whether they be fungal, amoeba, bacteria, or actually larger guys, you can't get too mad at yourself if you're not making any progress, because it's pretty much be the same thing as going outside, mowing your grass, and then getting mad at the grass that it grows back again. So you have to go after that environment, and you have to clean up that environment. And you can also at the same time work with an herbal parasite formula like the Parasite M. I even see people get them out without working with the parasite formulas. Just with
detox.
Diet,
Yeah, just detox. Because if you think about it, fruits and berries, and even vegetables, but fruits and berries in particular, are anti-parasitic. They don't realize this because they bitch about the sugars and stuff, but pull back. You can deworm yourself just going on raw food diet.
Yeah.
But they'll come out alive.
Yeah.
Yep, it won't kill them.
Fun. That depends on the person you're talking to. But, and then it kind of, oftentimes people worry about, well, do I need to take a probiotic for that? These foods are just laden with bacteria, but, the good kind.
Enzymes, everything.
Exactly.
Yep.
So they help with their own digestion. They seat the body with good bacteria, and they, like I said, as you start moving your body into more of a inhospitable area for a lot of these bad bacteria, you can't help but start seeding good bacteria and making an environment for them that's a lot more helpful.
I think people bitch and call bad bacteria the proteolytics, which are the type that when you're a meat eater you invite in, E. coli and things like this. You can't bitch H. pylori. You can't bitch because you have these when you're a meat eater and you're a high protein eater, because you're not going to bring the same bacteria in that deals with fruit that deals with meat. A little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
absolutely. But, you can keep going, and you can work, I don't know if you have worked with it, but, again, GI Broom is a good one to help clean out a lot of the mucus buildup, a lot of the sulfur, which is a known breeding ground for a lot of these fungals, and just working on the lymph system as well, and the kidneys. Continue working on those if you want. You can go after the Parasite M and keep continuing on with that, though you've probably been on it if you've been making some headway here. But that's good that a lot of your issues are kind of going away here, so keep going.
Yeah, they'll clean that right off your feet, everything else. like you said earlier, it might look a little worse before it looks better.
Mm-hmm.
You got all the big type ones. I got all these. We got so many of them. Look, oh my gosh.
I got some right here.
You got one too there. All right, here's one. Nice to meet you, Dr. Morse. Nice to meet you. Who is this? Carmen. Hey, honey. I'll cut to the chase. I removed the gallbladder, and after that, I gained and am swollen in something by drinking coffee, eating food, and now I'm taking antibiotics for a helper of something for 6 months. What could I do to feel better? Oh, varicella. You know, why did you have to have the gallbladder removed in the first place? Okay, so keep in mind that as redundant as we sound, it is. Chemistry only has two sides to it. So the more acidic the tissues become, including gallbladders, livers, because if you had stones in your gallbladder, you've got them in your liver. If you did a liver gallbladder flush, which I'd recommend you do, you'll probably get stones out from that, even without a gallbladder. But it's all interstitial acidosis, and that impacts the glands or the organs or the chambers or whatever. So stone formation, tumor formation, all these problems, the cholesterol plaque, all these things fall under the acid sky. Remember, acids, cationic, agglomeration, coagulation, dehydration, all are hooked to the acid side of chemistry. Since there's only two sides of chemistry, no matter what the complaint, which side do you think? Very rarely do I see an alkalosis case here. I haven't yet.
Besides the chemist.
Besides the chemist that thought he was alkaline. Yeah, that was funny. So all I can say is that you want to go after just what Attila is saying. You want to go after your kidneys, the adrenal glands on top, the lymphatic system they control, the GI tract, the liver gallbladder. Use the liver gallbladder formula. That's what it's for. Do a liver gallbladder flush in about 3 weeks or so on a raw food diet. Get on fruits, berries, and melons. Nothing else. No vegetables. Start detoxifying yourself and do the 14-week protocol or how many right you want. Doesn't matter. But get on that journey.
If I can add something to that too, even if you just worked on the bowel tract, the kidneys, the lymphatic system, and the adrenals, what's the complaint that can be had? I mean, you now have better digestion. You have better filtration from your kidneys.
More energy, more everything's better. Better. You can't do but better.
So you can even work on working with because if your digestive system is probably involved at this point, if you're taking out liver and taking out your gallbladder. Definitely. So pancreas, you can work with the skin too, and just kind of alternate, like do liver, gallbladder. You can do skin. You can do pancreas. And help out all the the digestive organs and also the skin as well.
Think about this. Just because it's gallbladder, or it could be over here pancreas, just because we're talking about an organ or a gland, the problem is the lymph system within that organ or gland. So you have to understand that, again, everything is cells. Each organ is made of cells. Each gland are made of cells. And each cell is like each of us. We're different. We're specialists in our own field. And the same thing with your cells in your body. They each are specialists. But what breaks them down or what makes them run better is the fuel you burn and then the residual kick to the sewer system that has. Because you can clog your sewer system at home putting the wrong stuff down it. So this is part of the problem, and you have to realize that because man has been eating on the acidic side of life, and that side is not the dominant chemistry on this planet. This is the side of chemistry that you don't want to be on dominantly. Now, with that said, there's beneficial acids. Estrogen's beneficial, testosterone, but they can also exacerbate inflammation if you're already highly acidic. So the only way to turn this around is your lifestyle. You get on the diet that humans are supposed to be on, at least for a while until you fix yourself, and then you're good. Pretty simple case.
This one I kind of wanted to give you to read. This one's a good one.
Oh, is it? Oh, this is the good one. Oh, man.
Well, this is, we had another one with
another one of those.
Missing the gene.
Missing the gene. It seems to be a medical doctor. This is for Ryan. It seems to be a medical doctor. I don't know. It seems to be the only way. Instead of autoimmune, it's moving now rapidly toward. You got a gene missing. Oh, excuse me. Someone was told they had the gene for detoxification missing.
And basically, it's saying that it doesn't produce
glutathione. Yeah, I know. I've heard this over and over and over and over again. That's bull crap.
That's
Glutathione is way down in the Krebs cycle anyway.
Yeah.
Way down there. So it's like.
So that's apparently the only way that you can detox is if you have glutathione.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I am 37 and have okay. Look at this down here though.
Yeah.
Forget about the gene missing and just go after your health, because these guys will brain tease you for a while, and you don't want to fall in that. I am 30 because genes are always adapting and changing. This is our problem, is the mutation of that. So that all changes around. You don't have to worry about that sort of thing. That's like chasing rainbows that don't exist, because no one gets well from those. We know right now glutathione and that whole consciousness is hot on the market, yet no one's getting well with that focus.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing.
Well, I don't know. I think it's like just on a side note too. They have the the gene editing, kind of is a pretty hot topic too. So, and getting hotter on the problem.
Well, we want to bring the genetic topic back to the God worlds and how genes are and all that. But here's a good question he has.
Yep. So I'm 37. I have varicose veins on my right calf. Do I need this for life, or do I have options? And by what he was saying he needed was the glutathione, which was helping out, with the genetics that we were just talking about earlier. Well, with the varicose veins, to address that, I have close friends of mine who deal with that as well. You're looking at the weakness in connective tissue in the veins themselves. So you just have to go after the gland and tissue that we're going to focus on rebuilding and strengthening the connective tissue, which would be the parathyroid. If it's more on the right side of the body, this is just a guess, and you could probably see it a little bit better in your eyes if you're doing an iridology. But your right side of your body might be a little bit more involved than your left side. So you just want to look out for that. Not that you can really take a nerve specifically for the left side or for the right side. It's just if you notice progression or detox happening on the left side of the body faster than the right, you might be a little bit closer to right in thinking that the right side is just more involved. But, like I said, some things that you can work on still. You have to address why you're having connective tissue loss inside of the body, which again goes back to the acids and why you would leach connective tissue. And what that connective tissue would be the calcium. So again, you're getting back to leaching calcium out of connective tissue, which in your case would be a vein, and you're just seeing that structural weakness. So, you might see, some of the symptoms we look for usually is, easily bruising, that's one of the top ones, varicose veins, prolapses, things like this. Anything you could think of that is just weak structural tissue. So you can work on the parathyroid, but again, you have to address that underlying causing that weakness in the connective tissue, which would be a lymphatic system not properly functioning, and then more importantly, the kidneys and the adrenals not functioning properly as well. So
it could be also a genetic weakness in that area from a mother or father that had parathyroid weakness, and they ended up having a weakness in that area because anywhere you have activity, ankles, anywhere like that, of course, is going to yank your calcium when you're not filtering. So you could even have that, but you fix them all the same. Yeah, good.
So to kind of soothe your nerves, though, I don't think you're going to have to be on the glutathione for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I don't think I would even think about that at all. Wrong thought, wrong focus. No one gets well with that focus anyway. All right. Look at here. Oh, I want to know your thoughts on Rena Casey's Essiac tea and sheep sorrel. I've been subscribed to your channel for years and have overlooked it for that time also. Over the past 3 weeks I've come back to it, and wow, it all makes sense to me. I'm living the truths you speak. Thank you, my friend. Svek. It's hard at first, but it is hard. I agree. For me, I'd suffered with constipation and sinus so much, it was just like, oh wow. A doorway to be free of feeling bad is always fun. You know, you can sit and carry these weaknesses and little things for your life, but things just get weaker and weaker, and it's too much fun to get better. You know, forget your I want to have the mean, forget that. Look at something new as a new adventure in your life. Oh, look, I just learned I can go on fruits, berries, and melons, and I can stay thin, I can stay healthy, you know, look at it as a challenge, a new life, the sun coming up from a very darkened period of time. Say the sun coming up in Alaska after 4 months of darkness.
Can I add something to
Yeah,
that too?
heck yeah.
What you're saying about being an adventurer, oftentimes I've seen with some of the people that are the most successful clients with their cases are people that get involved. They get involved, they have fun with it, and then they come back with answers, not just questions. And then, you know, like I said, one of the gentlemen that we were speaking about earlier, who's the drummer, he's such a cool guy. I mean, he came back in, he as soon as we sat down, he's like, let me tell you, Attila, he listed off a whole list of recipes to share with me. And you could just tell the passion was there. Yeah. He was taking it seriously, and he was doing his own research. So he was actively participating in his own health, which is pretty much everything that we're talking about here. We're trying to get you guys active in your own health, not dependent on us or dependent on anyone else, but you're taking your life back into your own hands and making yourself healthier and stronger.
Yeah. And that's key. I mean, it's key essential because we got a bunch of wacky physicians out there that are something else. Let me see. It's hard to see massive changes in my health, more so my mental and spiritual health. Love you too, man. Well, I created the Heal All Tea after I used Rennie Casey's years and years and years and years and years ago. I didn't have herbs. So I used other people's herbs, and I used Rennie Casey's herbs. I also did the one with the red clover and the stuff. But I don't like the sheep sorrel, okay, but I'm not really a fan of sheep sorrel. But also, buckthorn. I'm not a fan of buckthorn either. It's abrasive to the gut. It's a laxative, and so it's an irritant. So I really, there's so many stronger herbs and better herbs for this issue. And then you want to go to the lymphatic herbs, which is still another step taller, because when you have a general tea, you want to be careful with that tea that it is anti-inflammatory, minor drawing, things that people can drink all the time. Some guy just wrote, and he had 32 quarts or something. Ounces of Heal All Tea, and his mouth was getting a little sore. So, and if you make it strong, it'll start pulling and drawing. I mean, super astringent. So you got to kind of kick back with these herbs just a little bit, and especially lymphatic herbs. These are pullers. So that's why I like our Heal All Tea so much better than Essiac tea. I mean, it's okay, but I didn't like the sheep sorrel or the buckthorn. So it's just something, we used to make it and sell it. Make it by the gallons and sell it.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty. This one comes from Eric. I have a general question in regards to fruits and berries. If you aren't able to grow it yourself, is a powdered version or dried version of the fruit or berry a good alternative to it? Like, for example, schizandra and other similar things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if it's dried properly, absolutely. Because if you shade dry, it's a real slow process, and so you get to keep some of the water solubles. So it's better, if you dry them properly. You just have to make sure they dry them properly, or frozen.
You always got to check your sources.
Mm-hmm. Check your sources.
I mean, if it's not impossible, try to find the place that grows them. Get into contact with them. Ask them questions. If you can go to their facility, that's even better. Mm-hmm. Usually, the smaller sources are better. The bigger the source they get, they start trying to cut corners and things like this too.
Well, everybody might have to load up on some dehydrated foods because the future on this planet is scary.
Yeah.
I am struggling from coming off of antidepressants. Now get this one. I am struggling from getting off of antidepressants and also from chronic hypothyroidism. So where does depression and hypothyroidism, is there a link? We know there's a link, right? Because we know the parathyroids and the thyroid both deal with the skeletal and connective tissue. They both do. The thyroid produces calcitonin, where the parathyroid is parathermal. So it is the parathyroid most responsible, however, for putting calcium back in place, where calcitonin might borrow. A hyperthyroid case could create a calcium problem. But it's enough to say that when you are not utilizing calcium from a low parathyroid gland, depression is your symptom. We talked a lot about this, postpartum depression from women, from babies sucking their calcium and they couldn't put it back. So the thing is, you have to determine, because you said chronic. So to determine this is when you really want to look at your pituitary, because medical doctor after medical doctor might have you on something for the thyroid when it's your pituitary causing the problem all along. So this is something you have to look at your eyes. You want to make sure your pituitary's there. Look at the TSH in your blood work, and I don't expect all of you to understand all that, but we can help you with that. But the problem is parathyroid. So this is, if you have a chronic, really low thyroid, I would still pop up on the pituitary. I do the pituitary herbal 1 month with the endocrine gland, come back, excuse me, the next month, hit the thyroid and parathyroids together with a glandular. And I'd probably start with the 150 thyroid glandular, because the 400 or 500s, it could send you to the hospital, you never know.
Yeah.
But he said chronic. So chronic is that stage of extreme hypothyroidism, where the basals are going to be in the 95s, low 96s. And you just have to work with thyroids and at the same time the very lymph system. But I'm still got this feeling here, you got to check your pituitary gland.
Yeah.
Every day is daunting and death feels like it would be a blessing. No, 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 no. Because you have to get to where life is always vibrant for you in consciousness and fix your bodies. Because this is a body problem. And the bodies are very fixable. Just because the docs on this planet are not up to it yet, you guys are going to bring them up to it, I have a feeling.
There's, you could probably work on upper circulation and brain and nerve.
Absolutely.
Because, often
I would.
the pituitary, I mean, if you're just looking at the size of the pituitary,
Little bitty
it's
thing.
like the end of a pen cap,
Little bitty thing.
It's a tiny, tiny gland, so you don't have to hit it too hard. But at the same time, you could have the whole head area affected as well, like lymphatically here. So
Clean your sinuses, candle your ears, start moving out all this acidosis. Hydrate, because in hypo states, it's dehydration as well. And again, you got to check your pituitary gland. Look at your TSH. If your TSH is real low, that's your problem. Because in a hypothyroid case, your TSH would be high, trying to get the thyroid to turn on. That's how they look at that. So when your TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, is low, and you have low thyroid, then you know it's a pituitary problem. And you want to work on that, or you'll just be beating up something that is just a victim. See? One more, and then we'll go.
sounds
What
good.
do you think?
So this is Giselle. Hi, I'm 18 years old, and I'm struggling with acne.
Oh! You see what we're saying? It's all over the place because the glands are down in all the people. Of course, the young people, they're all down, the poor things. Their skins are down.
Yep. I'm trying to stay raw, but I need some advice. I love Dr. Morse's book and would love some professional advice. So, the book is a good tool to have. I mean, there's a lot of information there that'll kind of, as we start making some of these recommendations right here for you, go back to some of those organ systems in the book, because it's more of like I said, it's a source book. So you can go back to different chapters, look at some of those eliminatory organs, and educate yourself on them a little bit more, and just see how all of that ties in together. And like I said, use the videos. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos specifically on skin issues. So keep skimming through there. You can keyword the acne. I mean, you can keyword other disease processes and that are related back to the skin, like psoriasis, dermatitis, and things like that. And you can kind of see the picture that gets painted. Working with the lymph system, you can work directly with the skin. You can work with the kidneys. kidneys are probably going to be, once you get them filtering, that is really when I've seen the biggest change in people. That's when I've seen, real progress being introduced, when their kidneys were moving. And what we were referring to moving was the filtration. I think we have the chart online that you can get on a PDF. And if not, you can always call into the clinic and ask if they can send you the PDF. As long as you're a member of the health club, you should be able to get the PDF of the filtration on there. But you're going to have to work on your endocrine glands, especially the adrenals, the kidneys. Like we were just saying, you got to work on probably, I would say 2 kidney formulas would be the best case scenario. But you have to, as you're saying earlier, you're struggling to stay raw. Just do your best. That's really about all you can ask from yourself.
No, it isn't. I don't take that. No, you get your butt in gear, honey, because you're young. You can do this. You got the youth behind you, the young mind, and everything behind you. And this is a serious problem because this affects all your organs and glands, your brain, your heart, your lungs, everywhere else. So you can do this. You just get on doing it. It's just not difficult. You say, I'm going to just eat fruits, berries, and melons. Who cares who's around you? Grab your joy back. Grab your passion. Grab your own consciousness, honey. You're 18. You're young, but you grab your own self. This is your body, sweetie, and you go after this because you don't want this. This shows extreme lymphatic stagnation, and the skin is an organ. And because it also suggests your thyroid is down a little bit, it definitely tells you your kidneys and adrenals are down, but you're 18 and they're going to be down genetically. Well, you're a female and you got babies coming. So you don't want to wig out on this one. You don't want to wimp out on this one. You want to grab that strength. We're right here with you. I'll put my arm around you. I'll walk with you. I'll do it with you. But you want to get this done, honey. You're a young mother coming and you don't want to play around. Get up on that fruits, berries, and melons. Summertime's coming. No excuses. Because you can excuse yourself to death. And we got a man in the hospital right now. Just woke up the cancer all through him because he was on a chemo pill. I warned him. I said, blowback's coming, man. See, so you've got to take your own life in your own hands, whether you're 18, whether you're 14, or whether you're 11 or 12, even though you need mommy and daddy. But I'm sure most mommy and daddies will work with you, although there are some that do not. That's the problem with some of you young people, is that mommy and daddy isn't always in agreement because they can't change their world. And you always want to be able to change your world. You always want to be able to control and be the driver of your body. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So go after it. Go after the kidneys and adrenals. This is our new chart. It's not done yet, but it will be. So showing you what foods and things. It's a little different. We're brightening it up and all kinds of things, but things are good.
Looks good.
Looks good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you just, there's time to wimp out and there's time not to wimp out. And if you're suffering, I suggest you don't whip out. Get yourself going. It's not difficult. Dive in. The water's fine. If you're craving too much, deparasite yourself. Get rid of the candida. Get rid of that because that'll keep you craving your starches and your cheeses and the bad things. So deworming and deparasiting yourself is a good idea. It helps with the cravings. But just be strong. If you cheat once in a while, okay. But just be strong. And you will wake up in a few months free of all this. But at 18, you might have to regenerate genetics here in the kidney and adrenals.
Yeah, you just don't want to be like some of the people that we see that their problems started at 16, 17,
and
18.
They didn't do anything about it, and now they're in hell because of that. No, don't be that. And their babies are in trouble. Don't be that female. You be the female that teaches the world the beauty of the female warrior. Love you guys. We love you all. And thank you so much for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. And another video coming maybe tomorrow. Hopefully. I don't know. But you have a lot of great questions. We really appreciate it. And thanks again. Blessings be to each and every one of you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.